application, resolution number 081-FY 2021. It's the standard resolution that they always send with that we have to submit to Indigent Defense to qualify for, we'll get at least $15,000, that's the minimum. I think every county does that, gets that, and then we'll get a percentage of the remaining funds that happen to be budgeted by the Indigent Defense Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Wiley. Who's second? Pruitt. All in favor? Will not, resolution adopted. Execute that and get it off. I can't remember what we wound up with this current year, but I want to think like 23 or
Pretty close, I think.
something like that. Which is about 10% of what was spent.
I was gonna say not near what was spent.
Very little. Enough they can say that they paid us some.
Here we have received 22,000.
Okay, we've got this number, item number 12 on here, is the 1921 Jail Crisis Center. I thought Kathy might be back here today, or what if she was not, maybe I misunderstood, but I put it on there just in case she was here. Does anybody need care to make any comment with regard to jail issue or the crisis center exiting that facility? She didn't have any date as to when the exit, full exit might be.
The functionality of that building is no longer where we can use it as the crisis center. We had a person that needed some assistance this past week, and we put them up at the gateway and paid for it out of funds. So everything's been moved out of that building, as far as I know. So, you know, building, we corrected the drainage on that thing and sealed up the windows and painted and removed. So it's in much better shape than it was 2 months ago, but it is empty, you know, and no longer functioning as a crisis center.
Did I not understand, Kathy, as they were going to utilize that for a time to come?
That may have changed from the time she spoke to you till now, but I do know that they had a person that they had to put up at the gateway this weekend. Why and wherefore, I don't know. I just surprised to that matter, so those decisions are made above my pay grade.
Okay, we'll get in contact with Kathy Partridge, see what the circumstances are. I thought she would be going to be back here today. We'll take no action on that. Okay, item number 14, discuss and consider subdivision rules, regulations, and code policy and permit process that we have discussed some before on colors. It's been a long time since we've reviewed the subdivision regulations. I've had at least 2 phone calls with regard to subdivisions this over the past week or 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. I know that there is a division of property, I think, taking place right now on 16 South. As far as I know, there hasn't been any request for subdivision permit or any talk with any of the authorities that I know of, commissioners or me or anybody with regard to subdivision. But there's also had a developer, not for sure, but it's, I believe, out of Abilene, asking questions about size and requirements for permitting. I've instructed them to our sort of rules and regulations that we have adopted. The person's asked a few other questions, which one of them was minimum size of acreage that, or minimum lot size that did not require a plat, and that's any acreage over 10 acres. I think we're required to plat, as the statute states, people are required to plat any division of land, any division greater than 2 on any piece of land, and then they list exceptions to that. Some of that's being inherited property from that was assigned or transferred to family members, those kinds of things. And then comes the 10-acre lot size. I think the lot size, minimum lot size on a subdivision we have in our rules, I believe, is acre and a half.
Guess the minimum lot size?
I think that's
In the
the
county.
size we have set. I think we've,
Is that outside the TMJ?
excuse me.
Is that acre and a half, is it outside the
Yeah,
TMJ?
that's outside the EDJ.
Yeah, EDJ.
Cities of Graham, the city of Albany, Newcastle, I think they depend on us to do any of that. So, their ETJ is,
What, 2 miles?
now, their ETJ probably one, maybe, Graham's might be 2. Albany might be 2. Oh, but their rules, subdivision rules and regulations, take precedence override. In other words, we've given that authority to them to regulate those within their ETJs.
It requires a lot of work on the contractor, whoever wants to do that safety, lots of testing, a lot of things gotta be done, get ready.
Yeah. Subdivision plat is very specifically defined in the
Yeah.
rules and regs. It's not just a,
It ain't just.
a picture
No.
of land.
These were amended in January 22nd, 2007, so these are amended rules. Evidently, we have amended them sometime post-adoption, originally. But this is January 22nd, 2007, so they're 13 years old. And we haven't reviewed those until now. There's a few provisions in there I suspect we might want to look over, and that would be in that 10-acre ruling by the state. I believe that we can require the minimum of plat of the division of those also, whether or not there's roads and streets or anything like that in there.
I've got a document here from engineering and consulting firm out of Central Texas that addresses just exactly what you said. It says the 10-acre exemption is most common and provides for a landowner to subdivide into tracts of 10 acres or more as long as public right-of-way is not being dedicated. Interestingly enough, this exception does not require all the lots to have frontage on a public street. So does that mean it's allowing them to create a lot that has no access?
Well, when
That's owned by easement?
Easement, yeah, you gotta
It'd
allow.
have to be easement,
there would have to be a public or private easement on there, I would think, too.
Yeah, there's no contact with the public right-of-way of any kind, so they'd have to create a right-of-way by, I guess, by contractual easement with the landowner in front of them.
That's right.
So when they sold that lot, there would be an easement sold with that lot.
Well, what they do is they come in, a developer come in there and buy buy it, then he would set aside an easement of so many feet on one side. And as it come in, that's where the lots come in off that.
But they're not creating roads.
They're not creating roads.
Well, they'll be dedicating the right of way.
Let the owner make their own road.
They make their own road, they maintain their own road.
Some kind of commission store doesn't have to accept any of those roads, and bring them into the maintenance system unless we put rules in there that says they
Believe me. I've seen Newton County do it.
We can't make any spec greater than what we have in the area
Yeah.
there. So if we have some paved roads in the area, you could require all of them to be paved, or if there's curb and gutter, you could require that, but you can't require anything greater than what you maintain yourselves, what Young County does.
I believe Wise County necessitates them to create curb and gutter, storm drain roads out in the county and maintain them for 5 years, and then at that time, the county will take the maintenance over for those.
I kind of want,
Maybe 10 years, I'm not sure.
in here, I believe it says that it defines what width of the road, not just the road, but the right of way, goes past the road. And how far the house sits off that right of way, that should be sitting off of it, so it's pretty specific.
I'll reach out a little bit to Bob Bass, he's pretty familiar with things like this.
Bob's the guy in there.
He is.
So, to get a little advice on what kind of regulations we can modify, if we wish to modify them at all. I suspect we probably will, because this property's being divided into right and left, and property right now is moving quickly and expensively.
Agree.
Parker County's putting them up left and right.
Well, they are.
We need to be ready for it to come here, so make any changes we're gonna make.
Make your way from Rayford to that back road. Goodness.
And the purpose of that, for sure, is to try to prevent hodgepodge subdivisions going into the road.
Try to prevent Indian Chief
Would
Road.
be conducive to sanitary conditions. We have some of those in the county now. And I think these rules and regulations just have prevented that from happening up to date, but, I think we're vulnerable.
Well, I feel like there's been some things that have been changed in legislation that we've been caught up on, so Bob asked me to get out and catch us up.
On a related subject, if I might bring this before the court, Ribble Road is off Mean Bend Road, and it dead ends into a fence that is on Stevens County line. There's 2 residences, I think, own that, and some ranch gates. And we maintained and kept the road covered down to those areas. Down past that is a 1 lane on the side of the hill with a creek on the other side. It's a terrible situation. I was called this week, and someone has bought 2,600 acres at the end of that road. Just asking for maintenance on that road. And so we, of course, will give them some, but I don't know how much of the resources out of Precinct 1 that we can actually do there. The problem there is that the 2,600 acres is at the end of that fence, and it's in Stevens County. Yeah, so we'd be maintaining a road into their property where, so, I understand it's
I
our,
think that's,
I understand that it's our responsibility to keep at least a Class 3 road to that spot. Just wanted to apprise any future problems that may come occur from that.
I remember when that road didn't have a gate right there.
And you people used to drive through there to Lakeshore Marine.
Sure did. I remember doing it.
So that may be Powell County rather than
Yeah.
Stevens.
I thought,
This is Powell County.
yeah.
Anyway, but that fence is on the county line, it used to go all the way through. We turned a car full of Japanese tourists around one day there at that fence, every time we were through there, followed our GPS about 5 years ago. Hopefully, Google's got the better system.
It is a short trip if you're on this end.
Yeah. GPS will send you straight way off sometimes, you know?
Anyway, the lady said she couldn't get her Ford, Focus down that road.
So that land did say,
Well, yes, it did. You know what the land I'm talking about,
I
yeah?
know exactly what
Yeah, I tried to let her know that probably it's not a Ford Focus road.
it is. It is a focus road.
That's pretty rough country right there.
It's pretty rough country, yes, sir.
Even after you cross the gate, it's rough.
We widen that road, we can't move that mountain,
For a car that sits up there.
or that ditch.
No, you can't read the word creek.
Well, you gotta build a bridge.
We'll pave it.
There you go.
Is there no access to that piece of property from Alabama from the other county?
I think there's a gate at the other end of it. The same gate that you went through to go into that one.
2,600 acres somewhere,
Yeah.
there's a gate into that place besides that.
I would think,
All the way to North Shore.
I would think it does.
Really?
It's a pretty good place there.
Well, she said, what's the, North Shore,
Yeah.
well, the same place that
It's not the same place.
so.
Judd Edwards' grandmother had that place on the hill up there. So they're gonna do some development, it's ready.
Don't just ever hide and have a lot of that land too.
He owns North Shore.
Anyway, with this discussion, if somebody come in about 2,600 acres,
Yeah.
it certainly might end up being broken up and developed out there.
Yeah. Anyway.
And that's what brought it to the table.
That is a great big possibility.
Taking a lot of money to construct a road. Huh? Gotta get them to Walmart. Gotta get that sales tax.
We also have, adopted in August 14, 2006, minimum infrastructure standards for manufactured home rental communities. So we do have those also. I say we don't have any, I'm not sure if we don't have some of those in here. Okay, any further discussion on that at this time?
Need to continue to think about doing something.
No action. Let's take up the culvert permit, which would pertain to subdivision some, but it doesn't necessarily pertain to subdivisions. That's,
How about culverts entering the subdivision?
yeah, big culvert entering subdivision.
Multiple culverts entering subdivision? Could they get around that by selling it larger than 10-acre tracts and having the owner of that tract that purchased it request the culvert?
You know, it's, now, inside subdivision itself, we'll have to put that inside the subdivision rules and regulations. If those roads weren't brought up to our standards, and we had said if we bring these roads up to these standards, we'll assume responsibility of those. We don't have to assume responsibility regardless. So, the public road that the county is maintaining, yeah, absolutely. We have the authority to regulate that and what enters the ditch line
So if a person wants us to put a culvert in point A, and we decide we don't want point A, can we tell him to move it to B?
I think you've got some discretion there, you know, I think the court's got some discretion on just where its placement is.
Not
But
that I've ever refused anybody location.
so it may, where they want to put it, or.
Surely where they want their house and
Might be
facilities to
problematic.
be.
So, sure, I think we've got that discretion.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
But just, whether they're a subdivision or not a subdivision, occasionally somebody wants to make an entrance off of our county road where there is not a culvert, or hasn't been a culvert, or where one culvert might be collapsed or defective or too small or something like that. And if it's been in there quite some time, obviously some of that's probably gonna fall on our responsibility to redo. But when one's coming in new that has not been there before, they probably ought to be required to make application to the court and the commissioner, whoever is maintaining those roads at the time, evaluate that. and
To approve that location, culvert size.
those kinds of things, so. But what it did was took our right-of-way pipeline application and permit process and just reconfigured that. I don't know if you reviewed it or not, but, you know, do you see changes there that need to be made, or?
Well, on 4A, it talks about end caps. Are they talking about end caps like what's on state highways? If so, that's ridiculous for a Polk County road.
We've got no authority in the state maintain.
Right, no, I'm saying, yeah, you know, where it says end caps on it, but like if it's coming off of just a regular county road, do they really need an end cap?
We could require that,
It's a lot of extra money,
yeah. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I think in that situation there, it should be the discretion of the owner. If he
that
wants
may
to-
be looking transportation, so that may be a requirement on any public road.
I'm not sure.
It's required on the county, on the state road. or-
I know, yeah,
or-
state highway or,
Or
you know,
farm road.
FM or state
Yeah.
highway, yeah.
Well,
But it's
end
not-
cap's adequate, should cover that because generally we don't need an end cap on it and that's adequate, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You know, if they want to put one on it, they need to put one on it right.
Most of them pulling in and out trailers.
Yeah, to keep them from complaining about our motor grader.
Exactly.
And, you know, back in my day, once one drive up, just on one's been installed, you didn't know anything about.
Right.
Never been there before. So,
Didn't have to drive it.
Much anymore.
Yeah.
Still happens occasionally.
It does.
Full calculation, it might not be in a full calculation.
Might be the right size and might not be the right size.
They put a lot in here, maybe.
We get a motion
In the past, we've never asked the state to,
Sure.
we've been doing, also we've been doing some right of ways for the states, and our interest to our county roads. We've been installing those, because the state don't do that anymore.
Yeah, the policy kind of go along with, I mean, that's what the permit kind of follows the policy there. Well, we haven't actually adopted that either, I don't think, policy.
Yeah.
Under the permit application, under number 2, which is type poly steel and concrete, I think we need to strike all types require safety end caps. All types require safety end caps, we shouldn't require safety end caps.
Well, so do we want to do that? Or are you suggesting we do that?
I don't think that we should say they're required, if the owner wants those end caps, then he should make application to us as such, and we will, where the rules say adequate end caps, then we'll discuss it with them to do adequate end caps. But you require all of them to have end caps.
That's a safety issue.
I
Really,
understand,
for sure.
and that's why the state has them on the state highways. But my gosh, that adds a tremendous cost to those.
Yeah.
And I don't think that our crews, as good as they are, don't have the expertise to lay those end
They're
caps.
pain in the rear, aren't they?
I would add on that deal is if the owner wanted it, then he could pay for it, but.
So we don't need to require them all the
We
time.
don't need to require it all the time.
They don't have to be concrete.
Yeah, of course, they can make prefab ones, too, that just sit right in there. That's what we installed on Red Top.
Well, most of these folks, you know, they're moving out there, they've got a big expense anyway with all the utilities and everything else, and then, you know, they use those for hauling in trailers, and, you know, they're gonna run over their own stuff anyway.
Well, you know, that's why I try to get at least 5 to 10 foot patch,
Exactly.
not corner,
So you
to
don't.
be able to offset.
Yeah, they won't do too short.
Yeah. Even if I've got to add to it, up to the existing one.
But sometimes it ain't you pulling it in, it's somebody else.
20 foot.
You know how that is too, don't you?
Well, there's same thing with farm equipment too.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the farm equipment, you can't get down the highway, but it's just through the gate.
Oh, but they'll try.
They would have to. Speaking of Mike Ford. Yes, I think that we should take the all types require safety end caps out of that.
Okay.
What number is that on? 4A.
4A. Yes.
Number 2, under the application and permit, page 20 of the packet today.
Suggest leaving all colors should be marked, proper markers, clear and visible manner on each end set of colors.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Leave everything, just strike all types require safety end caps.
Four A can just be reworded a little bit.
How would you like to reword it, Commissioner?
It'd be that diameter, size, length, and end caps if safety.
The owner desire?
If safety is required. Everything on there.
If safety requires, does that leave it up to the commissioner to decide whether or not it's safe or not? And if you didn't, somebody got hurt, that'd leave us
I
liability?
wouldn't want us to be in part of that. I want the owner to be able to make that decision if he wants it.
If owner requests?
It's on request.
Which,
Which, the owner's not gonna request it unless it's in some extra. And if he puts in a concrete drive or a paved drive,
Yeah, and that's it.
then they're gonna put it in themselves.
Yeah, if they can afford that.
Maybe just put a note on the application that says, I'm requesting end caps.
Yeah.
strike it to 4A.
You don't want it in there?
We'll take everything off
I'm with you,
except
Tracy.
just the end where it says, appropriate to decide the length and safety caps adequacy. Water flow.
You're gonna end with what?
Just end with,
It's required with the owner of the contractor.
the commissioners to receive determine appropriate culvert diameter, size, length. Size and length, and that's the only thing it needs.
Do you,
Or necessary.
wish
And to allow the necessary water flow and
Yes.
safe.
There you go.
There you go.
To allow the necessary water
Yeah.
and safety.
Ending with that.
Yeah, just strike and safety end caps adequate. Strike that out.
Yeah.
Link to allow necessary water flow.
decides to form
They
them,
mentioned them, we've
then
been talking about it.
we'll talk about it then. I doubt we're special rules. I have never had a requirement, you know. I put a lot of them in.
You know what that means?
You know what that means? Oh, blue notes. Is that, are they doing John's and Trump? Place, always leaves underneath that big city base.
I don't know.
Get rid of that.
Yeah, we don't need them. The street, go west.
And then when you make your hand, like you choke each other.
Without all.
That's all back from the shed.
I like to try outlaw guns. I like the
Then
bag.
the outlaws got guns.
That's smart. Dirt. Wake up, Mike.
I'm still here.
Cause it's like,
It's Monday morning.
Yeah.
had a busy reporting weekend, didn't you?
It's been a busy past 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Lot going on, to be,
We're over 60,000
I'm glad we got him, Mike. He can't leave us like everybody else.
you gotta go, I talked to Tim O'Malley about it.
All right. We gotta keep him here. It'd be nice to have one to stay here forever.
Well, I'll stay here for a few years anyway.
As long as you don't leave and take Jeffrey Tubman's place, it'll be all right.
I don't know, we're looking at buying a house, so I'll be here for a little while.
Good. Nothing like debt, to hold a person there.
Right?
That's American way.
The American way, debt. The truth step.
then
Teaches responsibility.
You know you've been in this world with that clear enough. I mean, we all have to
I
pay.
gotta pay my taxes. I don't know my property unless I pay my
Oh, do you
taxes.
own all your vehicles out
every
there?
14% over.
I wasn't gonna retire, I wasn't gonna retire and take debt and retire.
All my
That's
houses.
why a lot of old folks die with old vehicles. When their houses paid off, they're in debt again.
I can understand. I can understand this.
Buying cars was the stupidest thing a person did. I sold them forever, I know. They're made to sell, not to buy.
Oh, yeah. And they're made for repair. Short.
Got a little something in there, wears out, but I still look at my cars out the shop.
Yeah, they changed it again, because he said it leaned, but then I said, I heard they just want to take out and safety and cabs adequate, we're gonna take the rest of it out.
Just that adequate, the rest of it follows in there with it.
Okay, so lean to allow for the necessary water,
Yes, flow and safety.
so they're taking out in safety and
Oh,
cabs.
you're,
One thing you think,
I know that. You know that.
Yeah, I want to buy one.
Everything is
You know, they start-
And safety, again, that's the law in this area.
No,
they're raising the law.
to allow them one.
You know, I started car shopping today. Went to Nissan Vermont. I like the color. We're going the wrong way to a one-way street.
Light it in the tunnel, the train.
That's right.
Okay.
What we got?
No action.
Well,
What's the changes?
Sure, big brother.
I don't know if we've adopted it as amended, then we'll have to come back. How about let's just put it on next meeting? Maybe.
Yeah, just put it on the,
He's got this put on there, maybe.
Put it on there.
So we just have to do it one time.
Okay.
we'll bring the address resolution.
On November the 9th. Meeting.
Those two counties we can, we can.
November 9th.
Okay, on,
I get 13, November 9th.
Got anybody know the address?
Sir?
Number 13 on the agenda.
I don't know. Guess we'll find out.
We'll
Number
call
14.
it there.
Or 15.
okay. We were on.
Put it on a specific number. And opposite you, and then you have to.
I'm gonna call a closed session here, we'll.
No, we got 14.
Got 14.
14.
14?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to put those,
Or
bids out today if I could.
Discuss, consider requesting bids for chip seal on 3 miles of road, precinct 1, bids due by November 6th. 2020.
Actually, this request will be for 2 separate bids. Precinct 1 will provide the materials for the chip seal. Just need a contractor to lay down the asphalt emulsion and the chips. So I would like to put that up for bid today and open it Friday before our next meeting. Is that correct, Ms. Auditor? Will that work?
Yeah, we need to be real careful and make sure we've got our 2 weeks in.
Is that not 2 weeks?
This will
Should be.
start our
Should be.
That's not.
CTIP.
CTIP,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
C-10.
Is anybody else ready to do any work on their
Just
CTIP or anything like that?
No,
That's
no.
what-
I've started doing some stuff.
Okay,
But I've
have
turned in my
that today.
tickets, it's like laying rock and stuff. But I've turned in my tickets to her, so.
We started zipping and working on base last week.
Well, yeah, what I'm, I guess, referring to is anybody to the state where they want to take any bids that would be similar to this.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
That's 2 bids, one for CRS2 emulsion for the roadway, and the other is for a contractor to lay down the chip seal with the grade 4 rock that we're going to supply and the CRS2 that we will supply.
You just-
I believe I talked to Marcia, the rock we won't have to, because we've already got a contract with Jack Burkett, right?
You're gonna be it for that, yeah.
This is just because of the regulations under which we're working with CTIF. Any contracted supplies or,
Bid the application,
sorry,
you're just bidding the application.
just bidding application, yes, sir. And materials so far as the asphalt emulsion is concerned. So it's 2 bids. By buying the emulsion directly from the supplier, the county would save about 20% of the cost.
so you said your CRS to what?
Grade 4 rock. But we're gonna supply that.
So what's the estimated cost of the emulsion?
Sir?
What's the estimated cost of the emulsion?
$2.05 a gallon is what I estimate from calling around asking about it. 12,600 gallons of emulsion. That's versus 255 from the contractors that I talked to.
You said 215?
205.
205.
What they price for application?
Application, well, of course, I'm asking for bids to find out that cost, but what I've found about asking around, it's gonna be around 75,000, 25,000 a month. We'll know more when we get the bids in, for sure. Those numbers, sir,
The 25,000 is
25,000 a mile to
Less.
apply,
less the roll.
less the oil, less the rock,
So you're looking at 100,000.
to what?
You're looking over 100,000.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Probably looking at 125,000. Yes, that's the night before.
What's the rock grade, did you say?
Grade 4,
Just single?
Uncoated.
Or double?
3/8 single course.
Is it already hard top?
It is, but we're zipping it up, we're reclaiming it. What we've zipped up already, there wasn't much there to reclaim, so. So we're basing it as well.
Single course is on. Doesn't last too long.
It will if I do the base like I'm doing the base.
Does this fall under the 25%? Does this fall under the 25%?
It's a
Well-
grant, how much,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
it can't be.
Except on the bid deals, you usually do this court's bid. When we go for sealed, sealed list is, we'll get over that 50,000, or whenever we do.
Yeah, this,
Bid.
this has anything to do with 50,000, this has to do with CTIF, we've got to do it regardless of the amount.
Yeah.
Looking at about 14,000 in rock, but 20,000 in emulsion, 75,000. We'll know more when we get the bids in for sure, though.
So we're looking at about $115,000 there.
For materials and laydown. Not counting the machinery hours of work that we're gonna put into it. That's a 20-foot road. shooting the asphalt at 35.
There ain't a bunch of rock to it,
Uh,
gotta put a bunch of rock to it.
Man, it's Ross Ranch Road, which has come apart from base failed years ago.
Okay.
So we're grinding up 2 miles of that road from the end where we stopped, and going past the gate where the Richardson place was. Then that way. Zipping it up, adding base, no stabilizing with some stabilizer. Waterproof the base so it won't fail all anymore. Compact it, shoot it in CRS2 and 3/8 straight forward chip rock. Roll it. As long as temperature 50 degrees or better, we're okay. Weather doesn't allow it, just won't allow it, won't get it done. So if we 55, 60-degree days, we'll
What's the road you make reference to? Is it?
Russia Ranch Road,
Okay, we sure need something.
certainly does. Watch cars drive down and throw pieces of asphalt up in the air.
All 3 miles there?
Well, no, the other mile is going to go out to Flat Rock. Where we had taken the top off before, that base failed, that was floating. We've got it stabilized and base down, we put a top on it. CRS2 will stick to that. Where the primer that we used before just floated on top of it because of the waterproofing that we did to the base.
You gonna put a sign?
I hope we don't have to. We're using a quick, that's one of the reasons we're using a quick set asphalt,
Oh, my God.
so we don't have that.
Do you know what the tractor bottom is on that road?
No, sir, I do not. I know it's less than when we had the horse races down there. And I think the Blossom Foundation has slowed down because of COVID. I do know that that's continuing to become a more and more traveled road, and it goes on to the end of it, so.
Even with milling it up, good base is off the important, and that would make a pretty good base, but my experience with single course is you got about a year to pick this up, any kind of traffic volume on it at all,
Yeah,
and you better do it again.
I'm using a stabilizer to glue that base together, and adding about 2 inches of base to the top of it. Then we're gonna mill it back in with that stabilizer and pack it and put a smooth surface on it before we lay down the CRS2, and it will be considerably stronger than just putting base and it with all on top of it. So we're reinforcing it. So, thank you for
Okay,
your advice.
what's the pleasure of the court here?
You make the motion, go up and bid.
I'll make a motion to go out for bids for this, as discussed. One for asphalt emulsion and one for lay down the road, 3 miles.
What'd you get with me?
I'll do it all right for you.
That's 2 on, Ross Ranch and 1 on Flat Rock.
Yes, sir.
I'll second that.
Might as well say.
Huh? You
Yes.
did?
He doesn't-
Oh, you, oh,
Whatever.
yeah, whatever.
Pruitt or Stacy?
Over.
Stacy?
Over.
I don't know, whichever one first.
Don't hurt to go up for bids.
That's exactly right. Don't hurt to get the numbers.
Okay, I don't know if I sent it to y'all, or, I think I did. I got a flyer in the mail here just a couple of months ago, regarding to asphalt company out, I think there was.
Hill Country.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of addresses and send it to you.
Okay, yeah, that's where we get most of our bids from, this one we see.
Well, I've seen this one too, but I think the one I was referring to, their, local office was, Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Sykes, a second by Commissioner Rogers to solicit steel bids for 3 miles of county maintained road in precinct number 1. Bids to be due by November 6th, that would be Friday, I believe, by 4 p.m.
Okay,
And for an opening then on the 9th, is that correct? At 10?
It'd be good.
sounds good.
Okay, Cheryl got the, you say you want 2 different types of bids?
2 bids, yes, sir. I will get with Cheryl and write the bid.
Yeah. I'll print out something to go by that we use.
Due 11/6, 4 p.m. Open 11/9, 10 a.m.
Jimmy, this is very, matter of fact, it's almost exactly like you and I went and looked at over with Tony. Same kind of roads they have. And he put it down in the Metroplex with a lot of traffic on top of it. That's had extremely good luck.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Okay. Now, yeah, we're gonna make a little break, and we'll open back up, then in, public can go move right straight on to a closed session. We'll resume open session afterwards for, anything that's not, I don't expect anything there, I expect it just be a discussion, but could be. And then move on to our items 16 and 17. So, 10-minute break?
That's good.
We got
States in our ladder's about this big.
Race to the door.
Oh, okay, for the close, okay.
Sure.
All right, we're gonna have to kick you out.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll anything happen here. Just discussion.
Nothing to vote on afterwards?
I don't think so. I don't think we'll vote on anything.
All right.
Other than our burn the ban and adjournment.
Yeah, all right, I'll go take off then.
Tim,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
I'm well. It's a little warmer here than it is in Wichita Falls.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, it was raining Captain Doc when I left.
Well,
It looks like it sprinkled down here.
yeah, we haven't really received much rain. It's,
Yeah, but we were getting a pretty good rain when I left.
How are you,
I'm
sir?
well, and yourself?
Good, thank you.
25%.
He can't stand it, yeah.
Well, that's if the court was to set that. I mean, that's a, reasonable,
It's a Sunday.
that's a reasonable thing.
So when is he supposed to open?
You know, other than this pay and whatnot, and meeting the budget, and
If they just
we're
don't-
gonna have it for 3 months, so, you know, we do 3 months expenses.
They'll be $163,000.
I know.
I wouldn't do one for the kids, I would just do.
Yeah, it should have been a Sunday. Did they pay
I
for
did
the?
up Mile Road, put them all the way back there. You know, single board, one of the first to find it out. So I'm telling you, I just started doing like a year, I couldn't get another.
Of course, I didn't talk to you about it much, see?
Yeah. I think that's things off. I'm not sure.
Where are you? Has it all been done yet?
All but just little tweaks here and there.
Emails all been changed?
No, the emails haven't yet, I can only do one thing at a time right now, we're
That's good.
migrating. But, I'm just real pleased, there's just so many perks in my computer.
Well,
But I'm still asked for the work on mine.
that's just some of the things that happen.
I know you.
That was bad.
Can we just click on each other?
Yeah, we're, yeah. Yes.
There's 3 times we've done this year.
Huh?
There's gonna be 3 times this year. Hurricane.
Yeah, they've been having one of those years, hasn't it?
I don't blame you.
I'm retired from that.
Oh, it went in spurts. Yeah, I mean, we might go a week or two and not see anything, then we might go a week and be half a dozen. And then, like I said, it's just, this time of year, I would expect that it would.
It would expect that, yeah. Well, I noticed, one stuff in the course shift, but she went out and, you know how they'll see, you know, it's verification, share stuff, she was, done about
Click it again.
Subdivision up here in the middle. This. Done. Rick. Where?
Belongs to man, it's what's money going.
Well, I told the judge
Truck like that?
in the interim.
We've got like tax goes back to Carol.
That'll bring in stuff like that?
So
What
far,
we can chip seal machine.
That's exactly.
He's got the trailer for the,
Remember that
I do.
Let me show you this.
Your spreader?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got the, my wife to dump a bunch of my crap out or do something with it. I still got probably half a deal of oil on there.
What kind of oil you got in
That, so that crap will
This will be
get
one of 4 weeks.
Yes, MC30.
there? What's that truck?
Watch it. It stopped. It stopped.
MC30?
Oh, it's fixed.
MC30, AC10,
It's fixed.
AC10.
AC10, MC30 is primer.
Oh, wow. They put me in mud, didn't they?
Standing by desk. How you go?
Just lay the thing down in the,
She said,
Where they at, Odessa
I
or
said,
Midland?
"Look it up." I
I
hate
knew
you.
it, I could come on the road.
As long as you got no highlighter right there.
They're getting it marked up tomorrow. Yeah.
RBI.
Oh, well, call it in.
We did,
Because
that's just them.
I've called everything in this morning so far that I do.
Wait, it's on.
So that one was down there, it's really cold.
Oh, yeah, I've already been down there. I had to go down and do some.
I've been there.
Huh? For one of the office.
Pretty cool.
looks like a little storm coming up.
Man, looks like a big storm coming up.
It's gonna flood right there with that.
That's why he's hauling butt, man. He's like,
Look at those clouds, we got to go.
Those girls were all over that truck. Yeah.
I thought raining that rock down like that.
Yeah.
Of course, you gotta find somebody to act like that.
I can you do me?
Huh?
I can back like that.
After 5. At the lake.
That's all.
Yeah, you can't do it early.
You're going to, after having a break, and you can close.
He
it,
does
and I'm
from mirror.
leaving. And I've got that turned off, so.
I would get that shit back. I have a whole lot fewer grief, but I won't mind it.
There you go.
Okay.
In just a second.
I'm gonna get you some.
They made this road 30 feet wide.
No, like I said, I'd give it back in a heartbeat. If he'd come back, I'd let him have his chair. He stood okay, but Judy's like,